Humanity yearns for a higher, more meaningful reality. This quest always brings us back to ourselves, presenting us with a possibility, an opportunity that ultimately everyone is responsible for. We experience the upheavals in the world and within ourselves as disturbances in an electromagnetic field, a field we arrange and maintain. But there's another electromagnetic field, one of a much higher reality, that has a hidden beneficial influence. It not only restores natural balance, but also supports several cosmic conditions that cause upheaval and change in our reality. It invites us to enter another dimension, a higher inner reality.
In this higher reality, we move beyond blaming our social and political systems because these systems reflect our own reality. If we get this, we can finally let go of criticism and outrage. Living together, we share the same atmosphere. We are this atmosphere. We breathe the same air. We are one body, and each atom of this body contributes in its own way. This higher reality takes humanity beyond any form of criticism and opposition that would bind us to the same chaos and upheavals in the world of fleeting appearances.
Human life starts with a deep breath. The life of every living being depends entirely on breathing. Just as the earth is surrounded by an atmospheric field, we live within our own atmospheric or breathing field. This breathing field is our life field, our personal cosmos, a microcosm, a personal astral atmospheric identical in structure and function to the great electromagnetic cosmic breathing field, the breath of life. The spirit that moves in the primordial substance drives the manifestation of life through constant transformation and continuous metamorphosis. This mysterious life force has been known for ages. It's the prana of the Hindus, the pneuma of the Greeks, the chi of the Chinese, all designating this vital essence found at all levels of life.
The spirit regulates the structure of matter and its manifestation in form, but it also ensures the transition to a higher sphere of life. Everything is part of the same cosmic process. It's also a spiritual process in which the whole cosmos participates, and we occupy a modest place, though we can also participate with our soul and heart, erasing all separation between the macrocosm and the microcosm, our own reality. Spiritual liberation and the possibility to overcome the limitations of our time-space consciousness lies silently and secretly within us. This apparent contradiction carries the miracle of the one, the possibility of transcending our mortal human state, a path that goes always further and into an infinite sphere of life. One of the founders of the Golden Rosy Cross wrote in his commentary to the book Noctameron of Apollonius of Tyana, "There is no man, dialectic or divine, who can escape the influence of the magnetic forces of his breathing field."
This statement makes us consider our situation from the perspective of the breathing field. Each of us is born into a personal breathing field, an astral field containing the legacy of many previous lives. Every personal atmosphere is decisive and unique. The quality of a sphere or breathing field is determined by the forces concentrated in it. The classical Rosicrucians of the Renaissance knew they were protected by a concentration of igneous forces in their breathing field. They consciously placed their work under the protection of this force, as they said, and we quote, "in the shadow of your wings." End of quote. To live, we must breathe. We can hold our breath or speed up our breathing for a while, only if we force either one of these aspects. The respiratory centers in our body would then automatically take over control. And similarly, it's impossible for us to permanently influence our magnetic or astral breathing field with our will alone. With our will, we can't get rid of a deep-seated tendency, but we can decide to look at it as objectively as possible and rely on this purifying force to correct it. Karl von Eckenhauser, a German mystic of the 17th century, considered this the first step in inner self-perception and knowledge of oneself. It involves taking inwardly and with all our attention a certain distance. However, taking a distance and devoting all our attention might seem contradictory. This is the true attitude of someone who has reached the limit, one who understands that there is a path of realization that leads even further. Thus, a calmness settles in our breathing field, allowing us to assimilate new magnetic forces of higher vibrational levels.
The breath of God is not only irradiation, it is a subtle, all-pervading substance which, circulating through space, can change us entirely. The undeniable consequence is that it also modifies our electromagnetic breathing field. Everything becomes quieter, and our consciousness becomes clearer. Through this work of purification, of letting go of what holds us down and creates attachment in our life, we gradually free ourselves from our astral charge. There is more and more space for a new consciousness to grow in wonder and strength. This is the result of the conversions of the meditative and active lives. The Golden Rosy Cross supports its pupils and members to stand on the mat, the magic carpet of the fables, through intense longing of the heart and understanding of who we truly are, self-knowledge, a connection with our true essence that becomes more and more conscious, and a continuous effort to allow for the transformation of our consciousness. These are the conditions for finally changing the magnetic breathing and opening our breathing field to the forces of the pure astral field. At first, we live in a closed atmosphere in which a series of reconstructions and changes take place, apparently without meaning, from which there seems to be no breakaway. By living in a meditative behavior, by an ever greater deepening, renewal and growth, and the consequential actions that follow, a greater ethereal and subtle atmosphere descends from the atmosphere of the great breath into our breathing field. Then occurs, dear friend, the situation described by Jan van Reckenborg. The magical fire of the universe that gives life to all things no longer needs to pass through the tangled net of fate in order to penetrate the breathing field. Fire in its entirety and original intent enters directly into the seeker's macrocosmic system, concentrates in a pure state in the breathing field, and man, now breathing with a purified heart, nourishes his being with his hermetic fire. This is a wonderful situation, a true privilege to experience. A noble reality is offered to the candidate, which leads them on the shortest path of realization, the path of true inner change and a new understanding. This new reality is not a dream of the egocentric consciousness, is not a selfish path to become more powerful or wealthy. This new orientation nourishes and protects the candidate, for it is no longer their will that animates them, but a soul united with the Spirit. Thus, the purified breathing field becomes a sanctified field, where all thoughts, feelings, and actions are put at the service of the world and humanity.
Accomplish your life no later, not elsewhere, but in the eternal now. And so, friends, do you long for this fundamental change of your consciousness, for this higher meaning in your life? Then start from listening to your spiritual heart. May you find your path, O seeker.